You've joined Prophecy Talk for analysis of world events and unfolding Bible prophecy, brought to light by prophecy expert and author Erica Gray of www.ericagray.com.
Welcome, folks, to Prophecy Talk, where you come for real Bible prophecy news and analysis. Well, tonight I'm going to talk about a hidden truth in the end time signs, and it is a frightening truth. So stay tuned. I used to think that when Jesus gave the signs of the times, that we would see specific signs, and then during the tribulation would be the plagues and all of the predictions being fulfilled, which would be unrelated to the signs of the times. Notice I said unrelated. And I used to think that they were very much unrelated, and that we would have what would be in our time period, and during the tribulation you would have what would occur during the tribulation. Well, the frightening truth is that that is not the case. Actually, we are a continuation. Now, I want to explain. First of all, let's look at what the signs are. Jesus said in Matthew 24 that you would have nation rising against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there would be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. And in another gospel, we have that there would be signs in nature. In addition to the signs in nature, we have more specifics given throughout the scriptures concerning the various signs in nature, and the fact that these would occur and get closer together as the time draws near to the start of the tribulation. Now again, I thought that these were unrelated. I have shared with you in a previous, hello Janelle, hopefully the sound is well. I've shared with you in a previous video that what we're seeing right now in the ecosystem, the upset of the ecosystem, that this is leading to the Great Famine. But there's something else happening. Hello, Holy Spirit in me. And welcome anyone else who will be popping on. Anyway, what is really absolutely frightening is this current heat that we're having. And July has now broken an all-time record. We have records coming out that we're not seeing weather like this since for 2,000 years. I mean, it's unprecedented. Okay, now I'm going to give you the frightening truth that dawned on me, and of course I've got to relay it to you guys. We have the prediction in Revelation of the scorching heat. So I'm going to read you that prediction. And it reads in Revelation 16:8, the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and the sun was allowed to scorch people with fire. Well, this is what is really scary, and this is what dawned on me, not only with that plague, but the plague of famine, in addition to many of the other plagues where you're going to have the catastrophic events in nature. And I realized we're in the beginning of this. In other words, it's not a time where prior to the start of the tribulation, you have one set of events, and then during the tribulation, you have another. No, these are connected. And this unprecedented heat that we are experiencing is again leading to when the angel pours out his bowl on the sun, but everything is already being prepared in the climate, acting as a warning, but also preparing for what will be the next step. So we are actually in the birth pangs. Being in the birth pangs, we are in the beginning stages of the end. This is frightening, folks. Even though the tribulation has not begun, the climate is being, climate, of course, I have to say climate. No, the it's all being prepared. This is the preparation. And I want to relay to you that one of the things that we see that is the God pattern, and I've talked about this before, the God pattern is a fractal. A tree is a key symbol of God. The tree of life, the tree symbolizing arteries. And we have, it's a fractal pattern, but in events, the events since the fall of man also have been occurring in the God pattern in a fractal. Just contrasting real quick, in the garden is Satan. We've talked about the chief satanic symbol is a circle because a circle is closed and a fractal continues. So I'm going to read you a definition of a fractal because right now, in addition to this being the preparation, we are in a preparation phase of the earth preparing. We're also in a fractal pattern of events. So I'm going to read you what a fractal is because it's the God pattern. A fractal is a never-ending pattern. Fractals are indefinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across different scales. They are created by repeating a simple process over and over in an ongoing feedback loop. Okay, so since the garden, I want you to think of this. Every event that has occurred led to the next event, led to the next event. Then we had the events after the Babylonian invasion of Israel. Those events, even during the period of the Maccabees, led to the next series of predictions, which was the coming of the Christ. And Jesus would be born at the time of the Roman Empire. Again, this was this unfolding fractal that was also of events that would fulfill prophecy. And we have Jesus, by whose stripes we are healed. This is predicted earlier on. And what is this? This is the Roman crucifixion, the Roman death penalty. But since the time of the apostles, the fractal of events has continued. This is why the apostles referred to their time as the last days, meaning that those events would lead to where we are now. So let's look at an event that occurred a long time ago that was key in prophecy. We have the Templars who fought for Jerusalem, and this is going back a couple of thousand, well, not quite a couple of thousand, maybe 1,500 years ago or so, or the Templars were around 1,000, or were they around 900, something like that, excuse me. My bad, I don't have the exact date of the Templars. I'm trying to guess here, but I know it was very early on when they protected Jerusalem, and they kept the onslaught of the winning of the Ottomans, or that would have been a Islamic state today. So we see even in ancient history, we look at the beginning of the nation state, the end of the monarchies, the French Revolution. All of these events are part of the fractal. Okay, so let's look at where we are now. And where we are now is absolutely frightening. We are in the beginnings. That's the signs in nature, the birth pangs. We're watching these increase more and more. We're witnessing as the earth is actually reacting, itself is reacting to the sin and the immorality that is in society. Well, let me give you another mind-blowing thing. In the Revelation, the final judgments also we see depicted in a fractal. You have the 7 trumpets that release the 7 bowls. That also within that fractal pattern, you have the 3 woes that are also released. Again, one releasing the next, releasing the next. So what is very shocking is that we are in the final pattern, and I believe that the fractal that we see in the Revelation ends this, where a fractal continues. We see that pattern ending the ending the earth, ending the world, and then after that is a completely new beginning. And God describes this in Revelation 22, the new heaven and the new earth. But what is really scary is this heat, this unprecedented heat that we are getting, is leading to when that bowl is poured on the sun. And already the condition is ripe for when that plague takes place. And I haven't mentioned even some of the other plagues where what is now happening is just lending to those. So where I used to think that these were all very separate events, that the end times, the signs of the end times in nature at least, and is going to be separate from what occurs during the tribulation. On the contrary, it is leading to it as part of that fractal pattern that has been going since the garden and continuing since the time of the apostles. So I wanted to just share this with you because this is some really scary stuff, that this signs that this unprecedented heat and floods, somebody sent me this absolutely frightening pictures of floods in Turkey, that what is happening is the beginnings. This is the beginnings of what's going to occur in the tribulation. Only it's going to be increasing in severity. On our end, we're going to watch it keep increasing. And then the Revelation plagues are now, when they begin, the climate or the earth is ripe. The situation is ripened for those things to come easier when they occur, or the earth in a position or whatever, because we see that flowing pattern. And that flowing pattern, now it still means that it's still a plague, and God is issuing the plague, and it's still a miracle event. But we also see the earth being ripe for those things. And it's kind of scary that this is the time that we're in. In other words, it's not just that we're seeing the signs, but we're part of what is going to end up becoming so frightening. I mean, imagine how hot it is now, but that plague of the burning heat that's just going to burn, where the sun is actually going to burn people. I mean, imagine. And also, that's why these signs are so key. And also that we need to be warning. You know, the watchmen are out there warning. We need to be out there warning, because this is what this is already the beginnings of. And people should be able to see that this is unlike anything that we've ever experienced before. Well, if you think that 100-degree days are bad, add another, I don't know how many degrees it's going to take to scorch people. Imagine the electricity just being blown out because it's, you know, used to capacity, the air conditioning. There's not going to be water available because the seas are going to turn to blood. I mean, this is really scary stuff that this is leading to. But as we experience this heat and everything, this is the beginnings, and it's frightening. And the time isn't separate like I used to think. They're actually related, and one is going to flow right into the next. But happily begins. Well, if anyone has any comments or questions, I would like to hear what you have to say. And also, I will probably be on for a couple of more weeks, maybe one more week, and then I've got to take a end of summer break, in part because I will be moving, so I will be taking some time off. Also, I'm regrouping with, you know, what direction to go with my channel, etc., and what to do next. So I'm going to now look at your comments. Hello, Jeff. I know you're out there. Okay, hailstorms, kills, maims more than, wow, 11,000 birds in Montana. Frightening. Did you guys also read about the black vultures that are down in Florida. Although someone is feeding the vultures to get them to come, they still are acting almost like out of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. I mean, they can't be controlled. Nothing is working. So that's another situation of what's occurring. Let's see. Hailstorm kills, maims more than 11,000 birds. Holy Spirit of me, this isn't normal. Kansas and Oklahoma have been hit by 65 earthquakes within the last 7 days. Wow. The birth pangs are definitely increasing. Now let's see, Janelle, some of the dormant volcanoes are showing evidence of activity. Scary. That really is. You've got that. You've got the weather. Yes, when these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads because your redemption is drawing nigh. South California is unseasonably cool and I'm loving it. Sounds great, Holy Spirit in me. Oh, so you are from California. That's right, you've mentioned that. You guys might be getting another bad earthquake. Okay, let's see. Janelle, I think evil entities are flying around the earth faster and faster, causing death and destruction. And Joe Santos, yes, hello. Yes, Janelle, there is a lot of satanic activity. When you are reading one after another of people just given over to such violence and perversions, it's unprecedented. It's like, the acts that people are committing are literally out of the darkest recesses of hell. So yeah, those entities and demons are definitely in full force at this time. And it's frightening. But what is frightening is that the signs that Jesus talked about is the beginnings. It really is going to flow into and lend to the fulfillment of the plagues. Hello, Joe. It is good to have you here. Well, does anyone have any comments or questions? I've been working over my website. Check it out. I have a tip thing called Quid. Now, I'm going to be doing a review on Quid that'll be totally unrelated to prophecy, but I like it. It's a little tip jar that's literally not a jar. It's a button that's on the site for like 25 cents, 50 cents. It's a tip jar. It's amazing what they keep coming out with in technology and what you could do on websites. But also my website, I'm trying to make it more streamlined, simple to follow. And let's see, Putin said explosion was no big deal. No Chernobyl, don't worry about radiation. I actually read that headline, but have not followed that story. Pray for Greg Laurie's Harvest Crusades at Angel Stadium this weekend. Thousands will attend. That is awesome. Okay, Greg Laurie. And is there anything else, guys? As many of you know, I am preparing for a move, and it looks like I've got the little place I will be moving to. And I'm having a dilemma trying to, well, not a dilemma, there's a hold, not a hold, but a delay. Things did not move as quickly as I liked. So I have a little bit of a dilemma in that I've got to unload the place I'm at, and it just has been impossible. So I've got to get that dealt with before I can move. So, or maybe I'm going to have to move and then deal with that another way. So I hope Hong Kong will settle down. Yes, of what's going on there. So anyway, the move, unfortunately, I thought it would have been much quicker. I thought it would have been much simpler, and it's not. It's another area that just seems that's taken me from my work. Okay, Joe Santos. Erica, Paul Begley is twice a day. You should step it up after you're settled. Well, I got to tell you something, Joe, that really upset me this week. And as I've been working on my website, and I went into older articles, and the videos weren't working correctly because I had switched a template. So when I went to find the video on YouTube and I typed in my exact title, etc., I could not find my own videos. As a matter of fact, there were so many videos popping up, and I'm going row after row or section after section, scrolling and scrolling, and my video did not show up. So what that means is that a lot of the videos I am producing are now invisible on YouTube, because YouTube has gotten so big that I am just a piece of sand in a sandbox. And that gets very, hi Nancy, that gets very discouraging, Joe, because nobody's able to even access. My views are still down. I can't seem to break in to the algorithm, and it's not producing results. So on the contrary of stepping it up, I was going to step it down because of that. And I've tried, maybe if I came on twice a day, maybe that might do something, but I've been on so regularly, I should have already at this point broken into the algorithm. I think I did 4 months practically on every day, and then I started to scale down a bit. So I'm really not sure what to do next. And so I think when I take a little break from when I move, it's going to allow me to just really seek this out and see what to do. And part of the issue is YouTube is ginormous. It is so big. And someone like Paul Begley, which, by the way, let me just read you some of his headlines. I happen to send Jeff, hi Jeff, I happen to send Jeff his headlines. And I was absolutely shocked when I saw what the headlines were, because I get FeedBurner because I'm rated in FeedBurner. So FeedBurner sends an email with all these headlines, and it happened to have Paul Begley's headlines because he's also rated in FeedBurner. Here we go. Now, I just want to tell you guys, I would never, this is not Bible Prophecy News. Let me tell you what he reported. He said, Dale Eckart Jr. plane crashes in Tennessee. Yeah, so what does that have to do with Bible prophecy? Okay, here's his next one. Prophetic disclosures unveiled phase 4 of the end times plan. Okay, whatever that is, I don't know what that is. Then the next one was, will America save Hong Kong? Well, what does that have to do with Bible prophecy? Okay, the next one. Okay, that one, active shooting, Philadelphia, 4 women escape by SWAT officers. Save breaking, Planet X revealed. And it's a lot of what he's putting out there, he's just putting out any kind of news headline. It's not really prophetic, and yet he's broken into the algorithm. And because he broke into the algorithms, this stuff is like getting first in the search. So when you do a search, his stuff is going to show up because he was smart enough to, didn't matter what his presentation looked like, didn't matter, but he went on 4 or 5 times a day and he beat the algorithm. So he now is going to rank. He ranks every single time. I can't rank. I know my information is really good information. And I know my information is really, really good. And I can't rank because while he was just going on every day, I was maybe writing another book. I was writing articles. So that's why he ranks. Let's see. Joe Santos, Begley predicted that the Yellow Vests were going to kick Macron out of the French presidency. Well, that's really crazy. I could tell you right from looking at that was never going to happen. Oh, Nancy, that was smart. He's now selling coffee jackets, DVDs. Well, you do, Joe, you do need to monetize. I mean, it's really, really difficult to monetize your work. So I don't begrudge him for that. I just begrudge him because he's producing garbage, and he's got false teachings. He's a false teacher. That's certainly not fair at all what Begley did. Let's see. His channel is a great source for daily news tied to Bible prophecy. Who's that? Holy Spirit. I don't think his site is a great. Oh, he misses a lot of news. Actually, for instance, there's certain. You have a report, but some of this ties in. Okay, I'll show you some news. Okay, I just haven't gotten a chance, but let me give you these headlines. Climate crisis reducing land's ability to sustain humanity, says IPCC. That's a headline. Let's look at Africa. Are you aware that Africa has just succeeded in launching a new currency, West Africa's new currency? I'm going to be reporting on that. Unfortunately, like I said, the move has kept me from getting some of these things out, as well as my own discouragement. I mean, when I produce and you don't get results, it doesn't really kind of. Let's see, 10 million tons of meltwater poured off Greenland in a day. And now that's some significant news. So anyway, that is where Begley, I've just lost my, I think I lost something. And I'll find it again. I've just lost you guys. Found you. Okay. So that's news. Well, Nancy, I am going to a very, very rural, it's a rural little town in the state of Connecticut. Oh, Joe, you're so sweet. Well, I want to let you guys know what really encouraged me, because I do get very, very discouraged. And frankly, I pay to do this. I have supported, God has miraculously provided for me, so I've been able to do this, but the move is going to be a little bit, change things a little bit for me. But so it's been very difficult. I mean, I've been doing this for over 10 years, and it gets very depressing. I mean, the Bible says the workman is worthy of their hire. So anyway, but what was really it was the middle of the night. I had insomnia, and I'm working on things, and I was actually starting to think that, well, what would I do for work? What services can I provide? I was very discouraged after finding none of my videos, or my older videos aren't even showing up. I mean, I'm typing my name, Prophecy Talk, the total title, they don't even show up. And I'm scrolling video after video. But I want to tell you guys what happened, and it really encouraged me. So at 3:30 in the morning, I get a birthday wish on Facebook Messenger. And the person who wished me a happy birthday was the French Count Christian D'Andelot Humberg, who's extremely busy. I have the interview with him featured. It was a wealth of information, but he reads my books. He is looking forward to whatever next book I will produce. And he gave me an endorsement by basically saying that the books that he read were brilliant. He used to be the Secretary General of Pan-Europa under the former Archduke Otto von Habsburg when he was alive, and now he is the president of the Strasbourg jurisdiction. And he actually asked me if I wanted to speak in his group at the European Parliament that he has. He's associated with the EPP. He's also a president of the Federalist Party in the Alsace region of France, in the east of France. And I was like blown away that as busy as he is, he would stop to wish me a happy birthday. And I think the Lord let me know at that point that I may not have what Begley has. I may not have the thousands of subscribers. I may not even have other things that they have because their channels are so big. But they don't have what I have. And that is my work. I was able to cross over into that world. And they couldn't in a million years because their work just isn't quality. So that's what the Lord showed me. And so at this point, I'm just going to trust him because it is very discouraging and it's very difficult. I've been at this a long time, and shockingly for full time. So for full time for I don't know how many years. Okay, let's see. Nancy, I bet even the Antichrist will start out small. He is called the little horn. Well, the horn is also a kingdom. So it also signifies his position, that his position is a relatively new position, but he's going to grow that horn, his kingdom, his kingship, his presidency. So that is why it's a little horn, because the other horns are already established kingdoms. Let's see, Nancy, my brother's birthday is today too. Happy birthday, Erica. Thank you so much. Getting older is no fun. And so any other questions or comments? So I hope you guys can understand that if you look at my channel, well, I didn't really start getting on YouTube more regularly till probably around 2014, maybe 2015, and then it became more and more. But if you notice how long I've been doing this, and my poor pitiful channel, and you look at the number of subscribers, I mean, it's very, 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 very discouraging. And but at this point, I said, you know what? I'm just going to start to go after sponsors and see what happens, because I do have an audience. And the fact is, I do have a niche audience. So and some decent numbers on my social networks. So I'll see what happens. But I'm glad you got to see Begley and the difference here. Yes, I have a select audience. And maybe, what's really interesting is that in the European Union, a lot of what's been going on has really been under the radar, and not because they want it under the radar. Nobody wants to report on it. And I remember when I interviewed Andrew Duff, and he's the European Union constitutional specialist, and he's a leading figure in what's called the European movement, and he's a major federalist. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Duff, I said, how come with a group as sophisticated as yours, oh, thank you, Janelle, with a group as sophisticated as yours, the federalism is the ideology that drives the European Union, with a group as sophisticated coming from, presidents and prime ministers and, leading journalists. I said, why are you virtually unheard of? And I said, around the world. And he looked at me and he said, that's a very good question. And I've been asking myself that as well. And when I was in Rome, Mr. Duff was in Rome at the event, and he's talking about when the European Union does things right, then the journalists will come. Well, this thing is growing, and it's already huge, and nobody's paying attention. And my ministry, which has been focusing on the European Union, I'm like, my numbers are so minuscule. And I just think that's the way the Lord wants it right now. For some reason, there is a blindness and it's not to be revealed. And you guys are right. My viewers are fewer in number. So anyway, so what is going on with the EU after the elections? Oh, hold on, guys. Give me a second. I am going to have to disappear for a second. Hold on. Let me just, the EU after the elections, I'm going in battery saver mode. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a sec. I'll be right back. I've got to just plug in. Okay, now I can remove that. What's happening is this. Von der Leyen is still picking her commissioners, and nothing is actually happening. November, Jean-Claude Juncker is supposed to be stepping down. So as we get more into the fall, we're going to get into the next phase, which is when she presents her team of commissioners. And we're going to be looking on this channel at some of the vice presidents, as well as if her team is approved. So, well, also we have the Israeli elections as well that are about to take place or that are coming. So we've got a lot going on. And once we get into the fall, and by that time, I should be settled in my new place. I would like to have gone into a little single family home, but I will be going into a condominium because single family homes in the state of Connecticut are just too expensive. And but this condominium is perfect. I've got the woods in the backyard and a hiking trail that goes to the river. So it's in a very country setting. Anyway, and it's just a small little complex. So, Brexit issue, they're going to have to solve it. But if you're also paying attention, Joe, it looks like they're playing hardball on Brexit. And who is Brexit going to hurt if there's a no-deal Brexit but the UK? And you also have countries that are talking about pulling out. Yes, and Trump is going to reveal the deal of the century. Yeah, okay, after the Israeli elections. Sounds so nice up in Connecticut where you have a condominium. Well, right now I'm in a condo and it's not so nice because I'm not terribly far from the havens, New Haven, West Haven, East Haven. There's a lot of people in this area. But where I'm moving to is in the Litchfield area of Connecticut. And that area is very beautiful, but it's also got proximity to New York City. So if I have something in New York, I still will not be terribly far. So it's going to give me the best of both worlds because Connecticut is a very populated, we're a teeny little state. We have a lot of people, but most of the people are along the coast. So, but yeah, it is going to be really, really pretty. It just looks out to this gorgeous woods. So it's going to be very nice. And they've got bears up that way too. So a lot of bears in Connecticut. We didn't have them before, but now there's quite a few and they're in that area. The neighbor of where I'm going to be moving was saying that she saw a bobcat. And so it's going to be pretty nice to have that kind of a rural feel. Yes, very stressful to move. It is, and it's also, it looks too like it's got some energy. It's energy efficiency, so that's another thing I'm looking at because the utilities are going to skyrocket. So you want to make sure that your place is pretty efficient. And this has that, bears and bobcats and coyotes. So, bears, bobcats, coyotes, lots of those. So anyway, guys, I think I've been 9 minutes. Someone told me I talk too much. I need to get shorter videos. Yeah, coyotes too. And because I have a little dog, my little small little girl, she's only 4 pounds 9 ounces. I'm gonna have to. That's gonna be an issue because I haven't had that kind of issue. But that's going to be an issue because coyotes will come right when a small dog is on a leash. But there's a patio and it's kind of gated in, and then there's kind of grass at the end of this. So I think it's like perfect, but it's still got to be careful. So yeah, that can pose a problem when you have a little dog, and a little dog is considered lunch for the coyote. So, and hawks. So even with little dogs, you want to keep them leashed when you go out, and you don't let them run because there was just a story of a seagull that picked up a little chihuahua. So true, dog will let you know if they see, if one is around. So anyway, guys, Nancy, I don't know if you caught this whole video, but I think you'll like the information. And it sounds, Joe, like you like the EU news. And right now we've just got a little bit of a lull. Again, there's some more news briefs I can be posting on, but the move has turned disastrous in some areas, and it's been very time consuming. And unfortunately, it's just taken my time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else while we are on. And I think that is probably about it. So you guys what kind of news do you guys want next? There's a lot happening. Would you like more European Union news? Well, actually, it all depends what's going to be unfolding. What's been unfolding this week is a lot on the weather. I mean, the weather, it's just been one headline literally practically after another, as well as the shootings as well. So anything is fine. Okay. Unfortunately, in the European Union, there's really kind of not a lot happening, but as we get closer to November, it will. Okay, the deal of the century. Well, I guess I don't really focus on that a whole lot because I look at it as a failure. It's not, but I don't even know if it's going to even be borrowed from the idea of it. But I do look at the fact that Trump is actually willing to go against the crowd, to go against the grain and step out. Now that's something that the Antichrist is going to end up following his lead. Trump makes that very easy for the Antichrist when he comes into his political position. A large war, okay. Well, there are certain things going on right now with the U.S. and Russia that's very disturbing. And it's not disturbing on the part of Russia, it's disturbing on the part of the U.S. So I may report a little bit on that. I think we are being very almost aggressive in our politics concerning Russia. Nation will rise against nation, but it seems to be the U.S. that's being very, very aggressive. So there was something I caught wind of that we are doing over, relating to the Middle East and Europe, and it's literally to just pound Russia. I mean, we're kind of doing a lot of things that are just very questionable, our whole foreign policy. And I'm going to tell you guys something. We need that relationship to get fixed. We need that because when the European Union ends up becoming the leading power, the Russia is just like 312 million. Russia's really is small. We also have the US that's like 300 and something million. It would be smart and actually Jeremiah 6:22, which talks about the king of the north and a great nation from the sides of the earth. I believe that is the US and Russia at the time of Armageddon. So we are going to end up probably in some sort of a partnership and going to that battle kind of as a coalition, like a partnership. So it may possibly be that relationship will strengthen if I am correct about Jeremiah 6:22. Let's see, is Russia still guarding Israel's border? Not sure. Trump has moved the embassy, recognized the Golan Heights, got rid of the poor Iranian deal, give the deal of century a chance. Well, the deal of a century has already pretty much been rejected, and it's basically economic, which that might be borrowed or copied to some extent, but it was largely rejected. Let's see, yes, and the Iranians are settling in on the border. Yes, I got some wind of that. So, okay, so it sounds like you guys would like some more with Israel and a little more with what conflicts are brewing. Putin can now reach the mainland of the U.S. But if you listen to Putin, he's never listened to, by the way, but if you really listen to him, he wants a good relationship with the United States. He has, and yet nobody listens to him. And he even did a video about that. He says, I talk, nobody listens. I'm like talking to the air. And he's right. They don't. Nobody's paying attention that he really wants to improve these relations. And everybody's almost got this, well, you know what? We'll talk about U.S.-Russia because I'm actually working on something in that area. But I'll do a separate one on U.S.-Russia. And was it Joe? I like your idea. You're right. If I probably came on twice a day, maybe that might help me. So let me see what I can do with that. But if I do that, I'm going to give that a chance for just so many, maybe like a month. And if I still can't break into the algorithm, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, Nancy, you saw that video of Putin's. I wrote to him once. Yep, these things are written and will come to pass. Well, I'm working on something right now, but I'll share it with you guys in a video. And it has to do with U.S.-Russia. So anyway, guys, I got to be careful because two people have told me my videos are too long when I, get chatty like this. And, but you guys have actually helped me. I admired Putin a few years ago. He is, I feel like he's the punching bag of the United States. I mean, the things, but I also understand that, we say black, they say white. They say white, we say black. We don't agree on anything. We're not even agreeing on who is responsible for the INF Treaty. Apparently, the U.S. shot off some missile. So it's very, very confusing. There's really an impasse. But it's my estimation that in this let's forget prophecy. Remove Bible prophecy. Let's say prophecy doesn't, happen or isn't part of this equation. It really makes sense for the U.S. and Russia to have a partnership because you've got these other, like the European Union is huge. You've got China, monolith. And it just makes sense that the U.S. and Russia both are smaller and, some kind of a trade pact, some kind of would really be in the best interest and not where things are at now. But I will be discussing that in another video. Well, actually, Russia is Gog, or Magog, Prince of, Chief Prince of Tubal. But it is, that's another story, the Ezekiel 38 war. But I think the Ezekiel 38 war is also God himself who puts hooks in the jaws and turns around the prince and gets this prince to make this attack on Israel. Because you have to remember that this attack on Israel is when God reveals himself. This is what concludes the age of grace. This is what begins the final period, this period of God in Israel. So, but I don't think that our relations should affect whatever is going to occur prophetically. And we know that they will be, that big army will then be defeated. So anyway, but again, that's a topic for when I will come on and talk about U.S. and Russia, current relations. What does this mean for the, with the Ezekiel 38? Are we not to have anything to do with Russia because of that? I don't agree with that. Just like right now, does that mean we don't have anything to do with the European Union because it's going to launch the Antichrist? No, because all of that is just, in other words, these things are going to come about because that's prophetically, what is supposed to occur. Oil is the hook in the jaws, and Israel is full of it. Well, I think, Holy Spirit in me, that what is the hook is a spoil. We know they go to take a spoil, and it could be oil, but I think it would also be some other goods that Israel has as well. Won't have a big army, will it? It is combined with Turkey, Iran, and other nations. So yes, it's other nations than just Turkey and Iran. So that's actually a very good topic. We'll talk about that more, and we'll talk about U.S.-Russia relations in light of that and what that might even mean with our relations, because we see already. But don't forget that Turkey is also a U.S. ally right now. Turkey is one of our biggest allies. So it's not just an ally of Russia. Turkey is an ally of the U.S. I can't understand it, but it is. Yes, in Libya, Sudan, and other Muslim nations. Yes. Okay, folks. Well, this has been it. I'm burning out, and my throat's going to go. It's getting close to 52 minutes. So, till next time, I will try to get on with some more of the news briefs. Like I said, this move has taken a tremendous amount of time. And also, when I saw that my videos weren't ranking, that really, some of them are invisible, that really, threw me, really threw me. I mean, I was just really, really very defeated after that. Anyway, folks, till next time, for more on prophecy, check out my website and tune in next, I forgot the day. Wait a minute, tune in next Monday. See, I've been on too long. See you in the clouds, hopefully in a few months. Okay, and when I have to completely stop, I'll let you know, but it's going to be when I'm transitioning, with the move, and then once I get settled. And Joe, I appreciate your idea as far as the twice a day. You have a good point there. And all I have to do is just come on with my little podcast. Those are not time consuming to do. And those I can do pretty quickly. And it seems that you guys like some regular broadcasts, and those are enough. In about a month. Okay, you mean how about a month? Okay, folks. Okay, guys, we'll see you next Monday. Meanwhile, God bless. If you want, check out my site. If you check out the site, I've made some changes. I'm still working on it. I'm working on getting that site nice and fast. Anyway, guys, we'll see you next week, and I will try to get on with some Bible prophecy news briefs, even though this move it's been taking a lot of time, and now will take even more time. Anyway, guys, God bless, and remember, Jesus is coming, and thank you, Nancy, and you really want to make sure that you are staying strong, serving him, because we don't have a lot of time left to do so. Anyway, guys, God bless, and we'll see you next week.